Legacy code is an unfortunate reality of software projects. In this demonstration, we will illustrate how a few powerful new features in Visual Studio 2010 Ultimate really help us understand our legacy systems. The first feature we will look at is the Architecture Explorer. This feature helps us navigate our system by namespace, by class, or by solution. We can easily browse through many levels of inheritance with the Architecture Explorer. Once we have found an area we're interested in, we can visualize it with a dependency graph. We use the dependency graph to understand how our code interoperates. There are many ways we can organize a given graph. For example, in this cluster view, we can see that the blueyonder.core.datastore is a central part of our system. We can change the orientation of this cluster view as well. Once we find something we're interested in, we can drill in for a closer look. In this case, we will have a look at the widget data class. We can move very quickly from a high-level visualization right down to the source code. This is much easier than trying to wade through thousands of source files in the Solution Explorer. Looking at source code has its limitations, of course. In a complicated method, it can be difficult to tell what's going on. This is where the sequence diagram really helps. We can see the control flow of this method visually. Visual Studio 2010 Ultimate builds these diagrams dynamically, so we know we are always getting an accurate representation. This automatically generated sequence diagram shows us exactly how our method behaves. This kind of visualization is a great way to see if we should optimize our logic. For example, if we don't like the way this branch is implemented, we can note it for optimization later on by creating a work item. Any new work items we create will always be associated with this part of our architecture. We have done the work to investigate and understand this part of the architecture, so we can use work items to share that understanding with our teammates. We have seen how Visual Studio 2010 Ultimate helps you visualize existing systems. What it can also do is make it easier to explain systems going forward. Visual Studio 2010 Ultimate supports a wide range of diagram types to help capture the requirements and design of your system. We are looking at a use case diagram that shows us at a high level some of the scenarios behind Blue Yonder. What makes this diagram so powerful is that we can tie this visualization right into our application lifecycle. So in the future, nobody on our team has to dig through diagrams to understand the system. For example, we can tie implementation artifacts right into our use case. Each artifact in our diagram can be associated with many different types of artifacts: work items, source files, projects, etc. We can use the hyperlink feature to associate this artifact with another diagram in our project. We can specify a URL, a document, or another item in our modeling project. What we have done is connect a portion of our UML activity diagram to a class diagram that describes our implementation. Anyone who comes along and wants to know how we implemented an aspect of our architecture can simply follow the hyperlink. If we do that, we are taken directly to our class diagram. This trail is very easy for someone else who comes along and has to understand our implementation. The class diagram is also a great place to start building out our implementation plan. We can create a task. Notice that the title has already been populated for us to implement this particular class. Visual Studio 2010 Ultimate helps us understand our legacy systems, and it also ensures that the knowledge we gain and the effort we spend can be leveraged by the rest of our team. As we begin to literally build a picture of our systems, we can decorate that picture with real application lifecycle artifacts like work items and links to implementation diagrams. This ensures that we understand our legacy systems and that any new systems we build can be easily understood in the future.